Love this guy. We interviewed him for one of our podcast specials back in the day before this show was born, right?
We did.
Chris?
At the NFL offices, I think.
At the NFL offices, yes, back in the day. I just love this guy. And he's on the Moodys. Season 2 premieres with 2 back-to-back episodes on Thursday night at 9 Eastern on Fox. He is Denis Leary. How are you, Dennis?
Hello, Rich Eisen.
Where are you right now, Dennis? Where have I found you?
I am back in New York, actually. I was up in Canada shooting the Moodys until about a week ago.
Okay.
Talk about cutting it close. Yeah, so I'm finally back in New York.
Back in New York City. So how do you handle Brady winning for somebody else, Dennis?
It was strange times for Boston sports fans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Red Sox, let's not even get into that.
Yes,
okay?
we can leave them aside, sure.
I mean, we're back to almost to where we were before the
late
last
90s.
21
We're
years started, right? So I'm a huge Boston fan, and I coach Belichick. I mean, you did that amazing special with him. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. The greatest players of all time thing. That was fantastic.
It was amazing. Thank you.
Oh my God, that was like I couldn't wait for each new episode to come on when that thing was on.
Well, he was amazing, Dennis. I mean, and again, I know you reached out to me when that aired on NFL Network, the NFL 100 all-time team. Being around Belichick made me think there's no way anybody could ever beat him, certainly if it comes down to just him matching wits with somebody else. Because the stories that he would share, that he would pass along to the team to make sure that they were situationally prepared. Like, one time when Jerry Rice, beat us this way, or one time, when Marcia Broda told me about X, Y, and Z, and he passes that along to his players. Like, who the hell else can do that? I mean,
no. I mean, hey, listen. Well, anyways, I mean, I don't have to tell you how great the show was, and the fans out there know. But yeah, it really puts on display how deep his, and forget about the genius label, just how deep his knowledge about football, past, present, and future has always been, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's an astonishing level of information he has in his head. So, I mean, I have to go along with Coach Belichick when Tom Brady leaves. We don't have a lot of pieces. We need to spend some money. We need to have better drafts and everything, So it was the weirdest football season because we sucked. The Patriots sucked. and it was clear to me from the beginning, like, we're just going to suck. This is going to be really interesting because we're going to suck. I can only hope secretly that things don't go well in Tampa Bay because you're thinking if they suck in Tampa Bay, maybe Tom comes back, right?
You were holding out hope for that, Dennis?
This is how blatant of a Brady Belichick reunion I wanted. Yes. I was like, things will suck in Tampa Bay. Tom says, maybe I should retire. Belichick, entices him back to the Patriots. But I have to say, also as a football fan, just as a Patriots fan, watching Brady, like you said, you guys were just saying, it's crazy. 7 out of 10? Come on.
Yeah. Well, look,
it's astonishing.
I know it really is unlike anything else. The numbers are stupid. They're ridiculous.
They're stupid, and you have Mahomes. You have a team that the defending champions with one of the potentially greatest quarterbacks from his generation, right? And he just goes in there and goes like, "Yeah, me, Gronk, and the other guy. Yeah, okay, we got it. Yeah." Oh my God!
I know. I didn't mean. I guess I meant to go there just to start it, but
Well, listen. There's no way not to go there. If we're going to talk about that, or we're going to talk about Mookie Betts goes to L.A. I mean,
Dennis,
I can't turn around without something biting me in the ass. But I was thinking about this because I knew you'd bring it up. I was like, you know what? It's sort of payback time a little bit for Boston fans. I mean,
what do you mean?
The Bruins are in contention. They're having some problems right now. The Celtics are okay, but we had a lot of championships, so maybe it's time we have a little downtime for us. But I have a lot of faith in Coach Belichick. The signings, I think he knew he had to rebuild, so he's rebuilding. I have some faith.
No, and as you know, Denis Leary here on the Rich Eisen Show. As you know, you have to make smart decisions in the draft. Being the coach of draft day, Dennis, you've seen that firsthand. how
listen.
But I don't know if you had the same power as Belichick does in draft day, Dennis.
But I did. Not a lot of people know this, but I used coach. The character was kind of loosely based on John Gruden.
Okay.
But they kind of threw that away. But I approached, I asked Coach Belichick if he would if he would read the script and give me some notes as research, which he did.
Come on. Really?
Yeah, which was really nice of him. But it's hilarious because there were several instances in the movie. There's the thing where we plant, some money in a playbook to see if a player actually reads the playbook. Because if he did, he'd find a $20 bill. He was like, yeah, well, that was our thing. We did that with the Giants. Like everything that was a reference point of comedy or football knowledge in there, he knew about. So he picked them out. He's like, yeah, that's from blah, blah, blah. That's from Bing, Bang, Boom. But yeah, I actually got Coach Belichick to give me some pointers on what I needed to know and not know, what was real or not real in terms of my character.
Get out of here. I did not know that. So did he give, because, again, he picks the groceries there too. Did he give Costner that whole thing about having the note in his pocket about the player?
That was already in the script.
Okay. So that wasn't
That was
Belichick.
already in the script.
Okay.
But he did. He's like, listen, you should do this and you should, I actually said, it would be on the nose. I had said, I'm going to try to talk these guys into letting me dress like you. He was like, yeah, you can do that if you want. But to Ivan Reitman's credit, the director, he was like, no, we don't want to be Belichick. So let's not, you know what I mean? So, but, it was interesting because, he's such a fascinating guy. I think I might have told you this story before, but years ago when we were doing Rescue Me, when I first got to know him, which was through a couple of mutual friends, he was a fan of the show, and he said, hey, we were at some charity fundraiser or something, and he said, hey, I'm coming to New York, next month if you guys are shooting. I'm like, yeah, we are shooting. He's like, I'd love to drop by the set and just see what it's like. So I was like, of course the guys on the set, they're all sports fans, right? The guys in that cast. So I'm like, okay. So I tell everybody, hey, Coach Belichick might be coming, and they're all like, what? So Phil Esposito played a small recurring role as a captain, fire captain on the show. So I set it up like Coach Belichick will be there the same day, and he'll come in and he'll do he'll get a little cameo if he wanted to be on camera, which he was like, oh, that would be fantastic because he wanted to meet Phil, right?
Sure, Espo.
But I have to tell you, when he came on that set, he didn't have to be there till 6 o'clock at night because we were shooting, bulk of the day without him. He said, can I come first thing in the morning? I'm like, yeah. He came. He has a notebook. And, we're busy. We got him set up by the monitor so we can watch what we're shooting. And he keeps asking questions. He's like, so now what are those guys over there? What do they do? And I'm like, oh, those are the grips. So when we need to have some stuff fixed lighting-wise, they come in. Their boss is that guy. And he's like, oh, and he starts writing down notes. And for the rest of the afternoon, he's writing notes and watching people interact and then asking questions. Like, so now what about this thing? When the actors, are ready to go, and what about the price? So I'm like, this is really interesting. And at lunchtime, he goes, hey, this is just like a team. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's totally like a team. He's like, yeah, I'm very interested in the psychology, the way I see everybody. And I'm like, holy, this is unbelievable.
We can't believe it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So does that
literally the most curious guy. How do those lights run up there? How do those run? Because this was on the stage, on the studio stage. He just was fascinated by everything, but he didn't know about it, so he wanted to find out what it was like. And he's right, because, of course, filmmaking is it's a team. You have 150, 200 people there. The actors are the thing everybody sees, but, there's people handing us the props, there's people all that. And he was very interested in how that ran and how you kept the spirits up, because you could see that we were all sort of, making each other laugh, and with the same thing with the crew. So it was really fascinating for him. But I was fascinated that he would be that interested in it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, he's curious because you never know what he can pick up about anything to do with a team. Does that make you the Brady of this scenario, Dennis?
You know what, Rich? I'm glad you pointed that out. Although, unlike Brady, when it came to the Emmys, I was 0 for 10. I think I was 0 for 5 at the Emmys and 0 for 5 at the Golden Globes.
There you go. So,
there you go.
If you were only on the DL12 system, Dennis, who knows? You could have gone 7 for 10.
The DL12 system. You know what that is? That's 7 cups of coffee and 25 cigarettes. That's what that is.
Little Jameson.
No.
Oh my God, that's so funny. The DL12.
The DL12 with a little bit of electrolytes is Jameson. Something like that.
Cigarettes.
Yeah,
six cigarettes, 6 beers. That's the DL12.
Dennis Leary here on the Rich Eisen Show.
Oh my God.
Hey man, before I get to the Moodys, what was it?
I miss being live in the studio. I mean,
well, we miss you too, except for the fact that you fired a golf ball at me one time, Dennis. You literally 7-ironed it in my direction.
Rich, there's only 2 shows in the history of all the talk shows I've ever done. That's from Letterman all the way up to present day. Only 2 shows have I been allowed to take over the desk and turn the host into the sidekick.
Okay.
The Daily Show with Jon Stewart and the Rich Eisen Show. It's the only time it's ever happened.
I will take that and run with it, sir. I will take. No one can never take that away from me to use the football championship phrase.
We always have that, Rich.
And I'll remember it when my life flashed before my eyes when I saw that Callaway go right past my head. That was great.
I have a picture of one of your guys or somebody took a picture of me firing that golf ball, and then they took a picture of me at the desk when I took over. I have them in my phone someplace.
Fantastic. Well, we'll post them too at Rich Eisen Show. Dennis Leary here on the program. Before I get to the Moodys with you, what was it like to be on the set of The Sandlot? How old were you? And that was the beginning of your career. And man, I've got so many questions. Did you have any idea what that could possibly be in terms of all-time sports movies?
No. My career had just taken off, in terms of getting famous, and I had done, I had a couple movies in the camp, big movies, and somebody called, but they were like, one was Demolition Man, I think, Demolition Man had just started, and Judgment Night, right?
Yeah.
They hadn't come out yet, right? And they were big budget movies, and action movies. So somebody called me, I can't remember who, and said, hey, there's this little baseball movie, right? Blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh, that's interesting. So I got the script, and I was like, wow, this is literally just about a bunch of kids playing baseball. And the part, was sort of, I think it was like 2 weeks I had to shoot. They were shooting for like 6. I was only shooting for 2 weeks. So I looked at it and I said, I'm going to do this because this is I like the story. And, I'm one of those guys, I cried at Field of Dreams. You know what I mean? I'm like,
sure.
I'm a baseball guy, a sports guy, fathers and sons. So that's why I took it. And then, then I was like, what did I just do? They always tell you, don't work with dogs and kids. Those are the 2 things you don't want to work with in show business, right? And I'm working with a giant dog and all kids, right? So I got there, and I'll be honest with you, you never know if the movie's going to be big or not. But those kids, the director they had been working already for a couple of weeks. He had those kids in such, their energy was all sort of focused at the right points when the cameras were rolling. And I'm looking at these kids, and I'm going, these kids are great, They're really fantastic. So the funny part was in between takes, They were all little kids, but some of them were actually older already, mentally as well as physically.
Mm-hmm.
So that kid, Benny the Jet, the kid who played my son, his sister was there, and she was slightly older. She was like 14. And Benny the Jet, every time we took a break in like a lighting break or a setup, so it's like 15, 20 minutes, and it was time to start shooting again, they'd go, somebody go get Benny the Jet, and he'd be off flirting with my son's sister. So I was like, well, this kid's the one who's on the ball. But anyway, it was, you could tell the kids were good, so you never know if a movie's going to have staying power. But those kids they were funny, they were energetic on camera. They were great. And I shot for 2 weeks and crossed my fingers. And now, literally, how many years later, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the math. It's 27 years later. It's and so many people name it as one of their top favorite, as one of their favorite sports movies of all time. Were any of your shoot days on the same day as James Earl Jones, or did you?
Yes, but that was I didn't have any scenes with him, which is
right
now. He's James Earl Jones.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm just starting out. He has no idea who I am, but he was the kindest, nicest, sweetest guy. Right. And it's an extraordinary actor. So I watched him work a little bit, but also the way he treated everybody was just amazing. And then years go by, and I'm working with Costner. Mm-hmm. And I brought him up to Costner, and Costner was like, is he not the greatest, sweetest guy? I mean, and that voice, as soon as he starts talking to you in real life, you're just like, oh, my God, I'm talking to God. You know what I mean? It's like, when I think of the voice of God, I think of James Earl Jones.
Of course. I know, and he's been in The Sandlot and Field of Dreams, and what you're talking about with Costner and Draft Day. I mean, you've been in some and obviously he's been in two of the greatest sports movies of all time, and you've been in some. I mean, that's great stuff, man. That is.
Well, listen, Costner, I think I've told you that before. I did that movie. I like football and I like Ivan Reitman. And it was a good script, but I did it purely because I wanted to do a Costner sports movie.
That's right.
The next best thing would be a Western. So I said yes, right, immediately. And Costner was just. You want to talk about number one, a great guy. Number two, just when you're working with him on camera, man, it's just he's so good at what he does, And
honestly, when you say sports movie with Costner, you think he's done doing it, and then when he done doing those genres, and then he does Draft Day, it was just like seeing somebody, an old friend back in the saddle. You know what I mean? And his speech at the end of Draft Day is as good as any sports movie speech that he's ever done.
And let me tell you something else about him. Like, Yellowstone is getting all the press for him right now because it's a big hit television show. And that's in his wheelhouse, as a sort of modern day Western, right? But there was a movie came out this year. It didn't get nominated for an Oscar, but it should have, called Let 'Em Go. Did you see that movie?
I did not, no. I have not.
So look it up. It's a little movie called Let 'Em Go with him and Diane Lane. And it's a Western set in like the late 60s, early 70s, about him and his wife Diane Lane trying to get their grandson back. And he, again, within the Kevin Costner realm of what he does, he is so unbelievably good in that movie. It's just, as an actor, sometimes I look at him, I go like, this is why the guy's a movie star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's so good. And how many Westerns have you seen him in? And I'm watching him in this movie, and I'm going like, he's doing stuff I've never seen him do before.
It's amazing. He's the best. Dennis Leary here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about the Moodys. You're just fresh back from shooting it. What can we expect out of season 2? What are you excited about this, Dennis?
Season 2. So there's the thing I tell everybody is, me and Elizabeth Perkins, and she is astonishingly a great actress, right? Emmy winner as opposed to me. So people might, hear my name and her name, and that's what they draws their attention. But I'm telling you that the three kids, Francois Arnault, who plays one of our sons, Jay Baruchel. Yes. I don't know if you've ever interviewed him.
Yes.
But, and he's already got an established comedy, street cred. But Chelsea Fry, who plays my daughter, she is just unbelievably kick-ass in this show. She's hilarious. So those are, I would say, listen, if you're coming from me and Elizabeth, you're going to find yourself laughing at those three because they're just genius. But there's a couple hockey episodes. It wasn't my idea. The writers created it. So there's some good hockey stuff, some good sports stuff in there. But most of the time, listen, it's set up this year that there's a family wedding, which you find out about literally in the first 15 seconds that has obviously already gone wrong. And then we flash back. It's an Easter wedding, and then we flash back to how it went wrong. That's basically the entire 8 episodes.
And back-to-back episodes start on Thursday night, 9 Eastern on Fox. And Elizabeth Perkins, you mentioned she won some awards. She's on the EP12 system, Dennis.
That's
what you got to do.
She's on the EP12 system.
You got to go.
That's what she won.
Let's check it out. That's what I'm saying, Dennis. That's called a callback in your industry, Dennis.
Yes, it is, my friend. No actual retail price.
That's it. That's one of the best. He is one of the best.
I had forgotten about that one. Man.
Yes, Joe Actual and Jim, two silhouettes on Deshays is my favorite.
I mean, and also Burt be home by 11.
That's exactly right.
I remember when he first said that one, because I think I was watching and I was just like, this guy, he's insane.
He's the best. Yep, that's Berman. Hey, Dennis.
That's why he's the only one who can come up with those, because you think you can come up with them, but you can't really.
You can't. You try. He's one of those guys who's just like you said, like Costner. He's one of the all-time greats in the television sports profession and broadcasting professions, who is one of the nicest people. But
again, you're right. One of the nicest guys.
No question, Berman. But the number of people that come up to him and say, "I got one for you," okay.
I know.
What do you got?
I know. Why are you even trying? You know what I mean? It's like going up to Ted Williams and saying, like, "Listen, I think I have the solution to your swing." You know what I mean? Don't do that to Boomer. Just let him give you one. That's okay.
I know.
Let him hear your name, and maybe he comes up with one for you.
Exactly. You know? Dennis, thanks for the call. Let's do this more often. I really enjoyed chatting.
I'm guaranteeing you, when we're out of this, whether I have something to push or not, if I'm in L.A., I'm coming to the studio.
And the desk is yours, sir. Boom. The desk will be yours.
I can't wait.
Thanks for the call, Dennis. You take care.
All right, guys. Bye.
He is the man, Denis Leary, at Denis Leary on Twitter and Instagram. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.